They are within touching distance of retaining the Scottish Premiership title. A domestic treble is very much so on the cards. So why don't we cast focus on it as much in the football landscape? What is it about Scottish football? What is it about the Glasgow Derby, the Old Firm, whatever it is you want to call it, whatever side you're on?
Well, being fair to Scottish football is, understanding the money, the revenue that's generated in Scotland is just not enough to be competitive. That's where, because look, Rangers and Celtic both have the fan base. That's clear. You can get 50,000 every week quite comfortably. That in itself generates revenue, but their TV money and their sponsorship deals, they're dwarfed. I can remember a number of years ago when Wolves were in League One and Kevin Doyle was rumoured to be going, and the deal fell apart and he was at League One football, and it was because of his wages that he was getting at Wolves at that time. And I remember thinking, wow, that's a massive challenge for Scottish football if they can't compete with League One. Now, I don't know where it is exactly today. I've not really looked at Scottish football too much because unfortunately, it feels like it's sort of drifted. Even though Celtic have got this really good side and Rangers is a great story from where they've come from, and to get back to the SPL and then be sort of trying to rub shoulders with Celtic in a way, but still not as good. And they haven't been for a long time, even though they've had success in the last couple of years. In the last couple of years. Yeah. But they still feel to me they're quite a way behind what Celtic are.
I think watching the style of play, it feels like there's a bit of a gulf between them at this moment in time, and that is the style that Ange Postecoglou has brought to Celtic, and that all-out attack philosophy and how everybody's on the same page completely. But there's no getting away from the fact that this is a semi-final in a cup competition that could see some of the best football. I mean, the last Old Firm was only a few weeks ago, wasn't it? It was only a few weeks ago. It was maybe 4 weeks ago. And my dad went to the game. It ended Celtic 3, Rangers 2. And my dad was so annoyed that Rangers were good. He was like, it just really got under my skin because, Rangers were actually all right. And I was like, but that's what you want. Don't you want to see these sides really compete?
Do you think it devalues it to some level that they play each other 4 times a year? Obviously can play like this year in the cup competition as well, because they normally meet. So they could play each other 5-6 times in a season. Yeah,
but sometimes, being from Glasgow, being a Celtic fan from, say, a Celtic family, and being in that bubble when you're in it, this can be the highlight. It can be the best day for people in Glasgow, for Celtic and Rangers fans. It is the absolute highlight of their calendar, is going to these games or watching these games or Old Firm days. It's absolutely everything to them. It is living and breathing it when you're there and you're part of it. And I actually feel as a Glaswegian, then when I'm being down here, living down south for 10 years now, it actually annoys me a little bit that we don't focus on it as much as we do. But I think it's a reflection of where the league is at, where the investment is as well in Scottish football. And I sometimes like the idea that White and Jordan were discussing this just a couple of weeks ago of Rangers and Celtic joining the Premier League and how they would fare and what that would do to the rest of Scottish football. Is that it would likely kill it off, but also I think it would be interesting to see then how that league would do without the difference of 2 clubs who are likely to win it.
I don't believe it would be as bad as what everybody thinks, because if you're still offering Champions League football for the rest, if Rangers and Celtic came in, then would that be a massive boost? Other teams are not winning the league anyway. Aberdeen, it's a long time since Aberdeen won it, there isn't other teams winning things in Scotland, as in the league, at the SPL. So to me, it might add to what the SPL has come in some ways. I know, look, you're losing too many massive clubs. I get that. But if you're offering something, you're trading off with clubs can have European football in Scotland other than Rangers and Celtic.
Yeah, which we did see last season as well. We did get to get the hint of that, and also then seeing Rangers and Celtic back into Champions League football last season. Personally, I thought Celtic played great, but they got destroyed. There's still a long way to go. Yeah. So then you think of them joining the Premier League, you think of them competing at a different level once again with that strength in Scottish football. And also it would benefit Rangers and Celtic to the Premier League, but then you would lose maybe the rights, you would lose the money that is already going into Scottish football at this moment in time. Yeah, so it's a really tricky one.
That's what I was about to say. If you look at you'd have to look at the numbers and then work from there, and how much it would affect clubs that are not Celtic and Rangers, because obviously if Rangers and Celtic came to the Premier League, the revenue would soar through the roof.